Hello, I'm Nia. Did you try knocking on my window? I must have missed you. I've been listening to my Melius. So what kind of die are you looking for?
Could this be the malicious entity? Perhaps it's wise to go along with this masquerade. She's got a direct view to the backyard. You should interrogate her about the lynching.
Yes, Amelia is like a call-in station. You need a two-way radio to access one. That's why I have these. Mostly, they just teach you to swear in different languages. But some of the stations can be quite interesting. I was so absorbed, I must have missed you knocking. Then how did you get inside? By the south entrance? You know what? It doesn't even matter. What matters is that you're finally here. Let's talk dice. Did you have something specific in mind? I'm a novelty dice maker. Tell me the name of your role-playing system and I'll make the die you need. That's why you're here, yes?
Role-playing games? You know the one made by Fortress Accident. Does that count?
Of course, I can see that. I just thought you were a police officer looking for dice. How else can I help you then?
No falsehoods are present. She's a novelty dice maker and doesn't have anything to hide. Ask what you need.
How did I become one? It was a business decision. I was a regular jeweler at first, but that's an unfocused field with too much competition. Some of my friends were role players. They asked me to make some polyhedral dice out of cobalt. That was my first order. I grew it from there. Not especially. I like working with rare materials and a steady pay. And role players as customers?
Some of those nice people have big bucks to spend on novelty items.
Nothing really. I didn't know him.
Who cares about the dead body? We might be dealing with a malignant entity here. The lieutenant looks at his notebook. Then the woman under the large...
Your window looks directly onto the courtyard. You're saying you didn't see or hear anything unusual last...
I'm sorry, detective, but as you know, I usually have my headphones on when I'm working. It shuts out most of the daily ruckus behind my window. I might have, but in this case, all I would have seen is my own reflection staring back from the darkness. It's really hard to make anything out in the yard when it's dark outside. Besides, I rarely get up to look out the window when I'm in the zone. It's an odd profession, making dice for people, but I like it, and I prefer doing this to sitting at home. Well, there's always something going on in the Whirling's backyard. During daytime, there are usually those kids, and lately I've been seeing a lot of drunk workers.
She's heard of the murder, but did not see it, sire.
But I never saw anyone during that fateful Sunday night, I'm afraid.
She nods.
Anything else, officer? We're inside the chimney of an old central furnace. It's strange, I know. But when I arrived here, all the other rooms were taken, so I had to build myself a makeshift home. Besides, I don't really have to pay any rent here, so that's a plus.
Plaisance was right. There's an entity living in the chimney. You should ask her about the...
Creative.
More or less. Are you interested in anyone specific?
Oh, quite a lot of them spring to mind.
Yes, I think it was called Androgynous Orlando or something similar. They weren't a big hit around here. Turns out that working class men don't like genderless haircut.
A bit of experimenting every now and then isn't bad.
I guess it just wasn't the time yet. It wasn't merely a gym, it was Artemiteps Boxing Club, a community project created to steer at-risk youth away from drugs and crime. Kuno. Who's Kuno? Oh, you mean the kid with the sailor's mouth? Yes, I've heard him yelling profanities in the backyard. I think it would take more than a gym to help that kid. A kind man, from Zemsk. I heard he had some trouble with the law when he was younger, and that's why he wanted to start the gym, as his way of giving back. It didn't. If anything, it made the youth situation in Martinez even worse. At some point, someone started a rumor that the punching bag downstairs was...
It's not really full of that. No one would store their drugs like that.
Eventually, the coalition took away the funding and the club went bankrupt. This was a few years ago. It's gotten much more peaceful around the plaza ever since. Oh, this one's a mess. There used to be a company that promised to repair windows 24 hours a day. Turns out, the business was actually set up as a front for an illicit group that was producing snuff milieu. Who would have guessed?
What's the snuff milieu?
And they never cleaned up the debris either. Now it's just littering the hallway and I have no idea how to get rid of it on my own. It's a sub-Rosa radio station that broadcasts real murders with real victims. Some people pay good money to get off on it.
Nothing changes in her tone as she says that, as if it's just another piece of information to lay out for the...
Don't worry, the ICP has a separate division that deals exclusively with unlicensed sub-Roses. This isn't our problem.
Good luck with that. It's not easy catching those perpetrators. You mean Mr. Fabron, the taxidermist? No, he mostly just did drugs. Anything else? There used to be a fashion atelier here, but I have forgotten the head designer's name. They were doing well for a couple of years, until the insect rights activists came. The atelier produced a certain collection that used chitin among the materials. Apparently chitin is made in the Occident, where it's extracted from beetle wings. And you know how all kinds of political movements are big in the Occident. The activists shut down the biggest chitin supplier, which of course caused the price to skyrocket. And, naturally, all the most fashionable tastemakers refused to be seen in chitin from then on. The atelier went bankrupt before they could finish the collection. At least it had some spark to it. Most young designers just combine lace with leather and call it original.
As she shifts around, you notice several dead flies on the windowsill in front of her, legs up.
Anything else? They were made by a company called Slipstream. After they pivoted from making rotor blades to skis, their chief executive took off on a vacation with all their money. Honestly, I think it's quite funny. I think he's still sending out holiday transmissions from Tulula or Tiumotiri or Hashtkor or wherever he is. Sure, it's illegal, but it's not exactly anything extraordinary in business. Besides, Slipstream is history now. All their remaining assets got seized by the bailiffs in '47. I have no idea why those...
They were just props. Why return them?
Fortress Accident, the radio game studio. They were an interesting bunch. We talked about role-playing systems every now and then. Once, I even saw two of them get into fisticuffs over... They certainly took their work very seriously, even if they seemed to be chronically liberal with their schedule. The usual, they ran out of money and couldn't get the project done on time. Well, I did hear them talking at times. They seemed to believe they were historical individuals on some grand quest.
She sounds almost mocking when she says that.
Yes, but when the money started to run out, they just began to complain a lot about capitalism. You know, how the markets are rigged to keep out new businesses and so on. In the end, they just didn't get it done. They didn't have enough willpower to produce something truly historic, and to show up to work on time. Still, not everyone is going to make it. That's the nature of the game.
The result is 1. On a 20 side, the dice is black and filled with little silvery flakes, like...
Anything else? Oh boy, the fabled Revoshow ICT. You're in for a treat here. The place was owned by two guys who had some rather innovative ideas about marketing. The bear was one of them. Now ask me about their other ideas.
Indeed. What were the other ideas?
There was really just one, and it involved picking out the prettiest girls in the neighborhood and paying them 20 cents per hour to man the booth. And by man the booth, I mean slump behind the counter with a face that could maim you if you ever dared to disturb their bored magazine browsing.
Fritta does the same thing.
Employing silky teenage girls is a widespread practice, yes. Unfortunately, they always come in packs. I'm talking about acne-ridden girlfriends and gorilla-like boyfriends loitering near the shop. At At least that's what happened with Ravenshaw ICT. And they already had the bear. Of course not. The bear was terrifying. No one wants ice cream guarded by a hostile apex predator. To make matters worse, the fridge didn't work too well either, and half the ice cream came out malformed and partially melted. Eventually, Ravenshaw ICT lost the price war to its rival, Class A 5000. Class A 5000 sold caramel sundaes for only 5 cents a piece, out of regular fridges. Maybe, because the taxidermist who made the bear definitely wasn't. Doing his job, I mean. He said that the bear was his vision beast. He said he met his vision beast while high on desiccants. Called it Megatherion.
Sounds cool.
Megatherion, a mega wild beast. Oh, I totally understand. Anything else? Oh, right. I hope you didn't try to ring me. I think none of those doorbells work, including mine. I'm still in the middle of connecting the wires.
The doorbell with the empty name card must belong to her then.
That's right. I haven't even written my name there. As I said, it's quite useless right now. It doesn't work yet. Sure, I'm listening. Good. I hope it clarified things a bit. What else? I've heard the stories, but I don't think those stories are true. Plaisance, the bookshop lady? I've heard that her business is doing rather well. Have the energies spared her somehow? Oh, right. But it's not just the bookstore that's still up and running. What about the whirling in racks? Some people say it's part of the building complex. And then there is me. I've been here for 14 years, selling novelty dice to role-playing enthusiasts. Not exactly a million-real business idea, yet somehow I've survived despite...
Maybe it's just because she's so talented that she's been able to woo the curse.
Malignant entity? What does that even mean? Some kind of sorceress? What about you, officer? Do you think I'm the malignant entity?
Time has come to face the source. Fear not, for the forces of the universe are supporting you in this psychic quest.
Exactly. Truth is always so disappointingly mundane and boring. But I'm glad we got this sorted out. Anything else I can...
That's all she has to say on the subject. She's been thorough and truthful, as far as we can see. The bookstore closes starting 2100. You'll have to do that tomorrow. Two cables are plugged into the breaker box. The red one leads to the ice bear fridge, and the black one to the ice cream maker nearby. An electric sizzle. The room is slightly quieter now. Something close to you dies with a soft electric purr.
Why did you do that?
The lieutenant raises his brows, but doesn't say anything. The electric distribution board now has one cable missing. Inside, you see a set of steering levers, a radio microphone. The white suede feels luxurious under the touch, and the metal clutch handle so very familiar in your palm.
Yes?
The door is closed. Still no answer. Still nothing. The lieutenant gives you a quick glance. This door can only be opened with a key or from the inside. A crumpled billboard reading, "Samaran butter soaks in the canal." Two ugly lines mar the bright countenance of the blonde boy depicted. Whatever it is, the boy on the billboard seems very happy about it. Goat milk butter. The Samaran terrain makes it easier to raise goats than cows, and the local goat farmers produce high-quality meat and dairy staples that it's an acquired taste.